Hi, welcome. This is A Course in Miracles, Manual for Teachers, Part 24, Is Reincarnation So? In the ultimate sense, reincarnation is impossible. There is no past or future, and the idea of birth into a body has no meaning, either once or many times. Reincarnation cannot then be true in any real sense. Our only question should be, is the concept helpful? And that depends, of course, on what it is used for. If it is used to strengthen the recognition of the eternal nature of life, it is helpful indeed. Is any other question about it really useful in lighting up the way? Like many other beliefs, it can be bitterly misused. At least, such misuse offers preoccupation and perhaps pride in the past. At worst, it induces inertia in the present. In between, many kinds of folly are possible. Reincarnation would not, under any circumstances, be the problem to be dealt with now. If it were responsible for some of the difficulties the individual faces now, his task would still be only to escape from them now. If he is laying the groundwork for a future life, he can still work out his salvation only now. To some, there may be comfort in the concept, and if it heartens them, its value is self-evident. It is certain, however, that the way to salvation can be found by those who believe in reincarnation and by those who do not. The idea cannot, therefore, be regarded as essential to the curriculum. There is always some risk of seeing the present in terms of the past. There is always some good in any thought which strengthens the idea that life and the body are not the same. For our purposes, it would not be helpful to take any definite stand on reincarnation. A teacher of God should be as helpful to those who believe in it as those who do not. If a definite stand were required of him, it would merely limit his usefulness as well as his own decision-making. Our course is not concerned with any concept that is not acceptable to anyone, regardless of his formal beliefs. His ego will be enough for him to cope with, and it is not the part of wisdom to add sectarian controversies to his burdens. Nor would there be an advantage in his premature acceptance of the course merely because it advocates a long-held belief of his own. It cannot be too strongly emphasized that this course aims at a complete reversal of thought. When this is finally accomplished, issues such as the validity of reincarnation become meaningless. Until then, they are likely to be merely controversial. The teacher of God is therefore wise to step away from all such questions, for he has much to teach and learn apart from them. He should both learn and teach that theoretical issues but waste time, draining it away from its appointed purpose. If there are aspects to any concept or belief that will be helpful, he will be told about it. He will also be told how to use it. What more need he know? Does this mean that the teacher of God should not believe in reincarnation himself or discuss it with others who do? The answer is certainly not. If he does believe in reincarnation, it would be a mistake for him to renounce the belief unless his internal teacher so advised. And this is most unlikely. He might be advised that he is misusing the belief in some way that is detrimental to his pupil's advance or his own. Reinterpretation would then be recommended, but it is necessary. All that must be recognized, however, is that birth was not the beginning, and death is not the end. Yet, even this much is not required of the beginner. He need merely accept the idea that what he knows is not necessarily all there is to learn. His journey has begun. The emphasis of this course always remains the same. It is at this moment that complete salvation is offered you, and it is at this moment that you can accept it. This is still your one responsibility. Atonement might be equated with total escape from the past and total lack of interest in the future. Heaven is here. There is nowhere else. Heaven is now. There is no other time. No teaching that does not lead to this is of concern to God's teachers. All beliefs will point to this if properly interpreted. In this sense, it can be said that their truth lies in their usefulness. All beliefs that lead to progress should be honored. This is the sole criterion this course requires. No more than this is necessary. This is a good one. Reincarnation. In the ultimate sense, reincarnation is impossible. If it is used to strengthen the recognition of the eternal nature of life, it is helpful indeed. I like that it asks that the only question should be, is the concept helpful? And I think a lot of time is often used in debating different things, the validity of things, beliefs, and I think a really big time saver is the concept helpful? And yeah, it says that reincarnation would not, under any circumstances, be the problem to be dealt with now. If it were responsible for some of the difficulties that individual faces now, his task would still be only to escape from them now. And I was talking with somebody recently about reincarnation, and he is a teacher, and one of his experiences with seeing, like having a vision and knowing that that was some like past experience, like it was him in that scene. And the only thing that I could say about it was that it doesn't matter about whether it has happened to you, whether that was your exact life in the past or in the future. But that information is coming to you for some reason, and that's somehow related to something now. And that's the most important part, is why is it coming up now? And yeah, I believe that reincarnation is I mean, yeah, when you get to the full understanding of the course, and it says that this course aims at a complete reversal of thought, and when it's finally accomplished, issues such as the validity of reincarnation become meaningless. Until then, they're likely to be merely controversial. So again, ultimately, yes, it's meaningless, but it also says that if he does believe in reincarnation, it would be a mistake for him to renounce the belief unless his internal teacher so advised. And I've done a lot of work with people where past life experiences come up, or there's different exercises and different healing sessions that I do that are specifically to integrate with some past life experience. And again, the way that I define past life isn't necessarily so clear cut as you lived that exact life and then now you are in this life and you are the same person as before, because as I've seen with doing, say, a lot of theta healing sessions, that there are a lot of archetypal characters that a lot of people have reincarnated experiences of, or they have some realization that, oh, I was, this character, Joan of Arc, Jesus, some of the sort of main characters in the story of humanity, that they were them. But, over time you realize that multiple people will say that they were them in the past life. And so to me, the way that I interpret that is that it's just whatever information is coming through from that experience, and it can be very real for people. So it's not about denying it and saying that, no, that didn't happen, but to just meet a person wherever they are, and that information is coming up in this life. The remembrance of whatever past experience is coming up now. And how does it relate to now? How does it reflect whatever experience or pattern or situation is needing to be addressed now? And that says it really well. It says, all that must be recognized, however, is that birth was not the beginning and death is not the end. And what he knows is not necessarily all there is to learn. And the last paragraph also has some really good stuff. The emphasis on this course always remains the same. It is at this moment that complete salvation is offered you, and it is at this moment that you can accept it. Atonement might be equated with total escape from the past and total lack of interest in the future. Heaven is here. There is nowhere else. Heaven is now. There is no other time. No teaching that does not lead to this is of concern to God's teachers. All beliefs will point to this if properly interpreted. All beliefs that lead to progress should be honored. And I find that, especially with a world full of so many different kinds of healing modalities, and I myself have explored many, and for me personally, I see that over time, I just kind of want to get to the point sometimes. And so I find that things that I found useful early on in my spiritual journey and my path, I don't use as much anymore. And other people can use it all they want. But for me, it doesn't necessarily, I don't gravitate towards those same things. And realizing that at that point in time, that was exactly what I needed. And it was so perfect. And at some point, though, yeah, it all points to the same place, which ultimately is being present and being here now, realizing that everything is already here. And so, yeah, this is, I think, a really good message to remember that also everyone is exactly where they need to be on their path, and we don't need to tell anyone that they're wrong, that where they're at is not useful, because exactly where a person is exactly where they need to be. And yeah, reincarnation, personally, I found it really, really useful. I have found many past life experiences that, I would equate as past life experiences, where I could see things very clearly. And ultimately, they were all showing me and pointing to something that I needed to understand now. For example, I've talked to several people about and had several theta healing exchanges where a past life of me being like a monk, a Tibetan monk, has come up. And in this life, I've had so many experiences where I've encountered Tibetan teachings and monks, to the point where I couldn't deny that it was pointing me towards something that I needed to learn. And in the last 16 or so years, I have encountered so many beautiful Tibetan Buddhist teachings, and that continue to come into my life. And it's like exactly what I need. And it doesn't matter, in a way, whether it was the past life experience or what that was pointing me to that, but clearly it's something which is showing me that this is part of my set curriculum of this life. And I'm really grateful for all of the past life experiences that I have witnessed through different healings that I've done, because it has pointed me to where I need to be in this life. And I have many stories of, I'm going to share one. But yeah, I could do probably a whole book on all the connections with Tibetans and Tibetan Buddhism that has come into my life. But I think one of my favorites is when I was in Washington, D.C., and this was in 2011. It was before I was going to grad school, and I was in Chinatown, and I had a meeting there and ran into a Tibetan monk who asked me for directions, and talked to him for a minute, realized he was there because the Dalai Lama was in town, and I thought, oh, that's so wonderful. Good for him. And then throughout that day, I ran into two more people who were also attending this Dalai Lama conference, and the last woman told me that, and we were on the metro, and I just remember it so clearly, because it was like she said this message and then the door slid close, and it was, if it's in your karma, then you'll be there tomorrow at the conference. And it just stuck with me, and I knew that I had to go, so I got a ticket for the next day. And I was up in the nosebleed section of the Verizon Center, which holds like 30,000 people or so. And so I was there, way up there. Dalai Lama was about this big, but it was beautiful, but I was kind of feeling like groggy, or it's like I wasn't fully consciously getting what I was doing there. And I tried really hard to grasp something, but by the end of the day, I just felt like, I don't know, it's not that clear to me that I need to be here. And I remember I was waiting in the line for viewing the sand mandala, but at some point my friend came to meet me, and then I was like, I think I need to leave. I don't think that I need to be here anymore. And the moment that I stepped out of line and we started to walk out, a girl reached out and grabbed me and said, "Hey, do you remember me? We met in France." And I had met her a year before in France at Plum Village at Thich Nhat Hanh's monastery. and she was from Argentina. And it was such a beautiful encounter, and it seemed so random and small worldy. And she was so lovely and asked if I was going to be there the rest of the week. And I was like, I don't know, I'm not sure. And somehow spending time with her, I just felt like, yes, I do need to go for the rest of the week. So I did, and we got to hang out, and something shifted as well in the transmission that I received. It was the Kala Chakra. And wow, I really received a lot of information, downloads, and blessings in that experience. And anyways, the very last day, it was a Saturday, and the tickets were completely sold out for that day. So this friend was like, hey, I'll see you tomorrow, right? And I was like, oh, unfortunately, there aren't any more seats, so that's okay. We'll catch up another time. And later that night, she messaged me saying, hey, guess what? I have an extra ticket for you, because her dad was one of 2 Tibetan Spanish translators in the world or something, and they happened to have an extra ticket, and I was so grateful. So I met her in the morning, and she was like, I'm sorry, these tickets are not with my family, but it's actually an even better section, even closer to the Dalai Lama. And so I was just so grateful, and took the ticket and went to the seat. And as I looked at the row number in the seat, I looked, and again, this is a stadium that holds a lot of people, and I ran into a girl who I had met on the island Miyake-jima, where I had lived in Japan for 2 years. And I was just in such shock and joy and laughter at how amazing life was to have conspired to bring all of those things exactly together. Like all of those different individuals, it felt like they were all placed there just to be sure that I knew that I needed to be there to receive whatever teachings those were. And yeah, so whatever past life I may have had or not, it doesn't matter, because it was just very clear that in this life I needed to be there. I needed to receive that transmission, and to witness such miracles of life and how amazing this experience can be. So I just wanted to share that, and ask for yourself for any past life experiences that you've witnessed or that you've tuned into in any way, shape, or form. The question is always about, what does this relate to me now? Why am I seeing this? Why am I getting this experience to face with now? So that's all for today. All beliefs that lead to progress should be honored. Let's remember that. Thank you.